Welcome back to Isabella Bank's YouTube channel where we discuss and dissect the latest Prince Harry and Meghan Markle happenings. So, guys, let's divert our attention back to our ongoing series on how Piers Morgan involved the royal family in an entanglement with press and police corruption. Allegedly. Are you ready? Okay, let's dive in. I hope you have snacks though, because it's a lot. Hidden within the labyrinthine High Court judgment on Prince Harry's case against the Mirror Group is a revelation that will tip the scales in Prince Harry's favor against the Mail on Sunday and the Daily Mail. Wait, what did I just say? Yep, you heard me right. Prince Harry has the evidence needed to win the case against the Daily Mail and the Mirror. You would never know it from the headlines, but yeah, he does. That's why they're panicking so hard and they're fighting so hard. Just looking at all that I have seen, I'm yet to understand why they continue to poke him by harassing him in the news. Surely it stands to reason, right, that if you continue to poke someone, that does not encourage them not to fight. Rather, it makes them fight even harder. Just taking a step back to look at the entire story holistically, and may I tell you that if you're one of those who have read the book Spare, you have watched the documentary, and you think you know the whole story, trust me when I tell you that what you have seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, Prince Harry is just a small part of this story. Yeah, that's right. Prince Harry, often overlooked and underestimated in this saga, is a key player that all parties should have taken more seriously because if they had only done what he asked of them, all of them will continue with their lives without any disturbance. But no, they had to flex and super flex, pushing him to the wall, making him turn back to fight his corner because there was nowhere else for him to go. I've said that once and I'll say it again. The powers that Harry is fighting proceeded with careless confidence that there would not be any pushback. Or maybe they proceeded with the confidence that they will be able to overcome any pushback. And to be honest, I don't completely blame the dark powers. They've been getting away with it for 36 years, for goodness sake. I can only assume that the reason why they didn't take him more seriously was because they were assured that there would be no pushback. Unfortunately for them, our prince fell in love with a warrior princess, Meghan Markle, who said, absolutely not. In our last video, right, we uncovered how Piers Morgan and Gary Jones of the Daily Mirror paid for an illegal police report exposing Princess Diana's anonymous phone calls. Let's say allegedly, although there have been court cases about this, there's proven evidence about this, but okay, just for YouTube, let's say allegedly. Now we continue with the narrative of the private investigation agency linked to the Daily Mirror, a venture that led to numerous scoops and awards, and the arrest of Jonathan Reese for an audacious attempt at setting up a client of his estranged wife with Coca Cola. You know, that white stuff that gets you high. He got caught trying to set the wife up and got sent to jail, while his partner, Sidney Fillery, avoided jail. With me so far? Okay, let's continue. So, buried in the 385-page judgment from Prince Harry's High Court triumph against the Daily Mirror lies evidence that's poised to rock the cases against the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. In a witness statement, Derek Haslam. Now, who is Derek Haslam, you might ask? I am so glad you asked that question because I need to introduce you to this gent of a man. Meet Derek Haslam, a former police detective tasked with unraveling police corruption linked to the unsolved murder of Daniel Morgan, Jonathan Reese's business partner. Now, if you don't know who Daniel Morgan or Jonathan Reese are, that means you haven't watched part 1 or 2 of my previous videos on this matter. Please go ahead to watch part 1 and 2, and then it will all make sense to you. I will leave the links to those videos in the comment section. So, Daniel Morgan was on the verge of exposing a major story of police corruption to newspapers, and he met a tragic end, brutally axed to death in a South London car park. Guys, the dots are connecting and the implications are profound. To understand this fully, we need to take a slight detour as we discuss the backstory into the murder of Daniel Morgan, the senior partner of Southern Investigations. Daniel Morgan's murder in March 1987, more than 36 years ago, continues to perplex. One might assume that controversy surrounding his death would have faded into the past, never to resurface. Yet, here we are still discussing his case as though it just happened yesterday. And the question begs, why? What makes this case enduringly relevant? Hmm. Okay. So in 1999, the Met Police initiated Operation Nigeria to infiltrate Southern investigations and further probe the murder of private investigator Daniel Morgan. The curious name choice, Operation Nigeria, may have connections to the death of Stephen Lawrence, who I believe was a Nigerian man. It's a tangled web. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I think somehow, because Stephen Lawrence's murder is tied up with this unholy mess. Just saying that reminds me that Harry and Meghan attended Stephen Lawrence's memorial service. It makes me wonder what they both knew as they attended the service. Sorry, I keep going off on different tangents just because there's so much information. But I try to calm down as I speak so that I can take you along on the journey. Daniel Morgan met a brutal end in the Golden Lions pub car park in South London. He was struck on the head with an axe. The force of the blow was so intense that the axe embedded itself in Morgan's face. The police suspicion fell on his business partner, Jonathan Reese, who had been drinking with Morgan on the night of his murder. Morgan, on the brink of exposing police corruption to the news of the world, had grown suspicious of his partner, Reese. He shared his concerns and information with someone at the news of the world, and someone sadly betrayed him. Enter Sid Fillery, who was assigned to investigate the murder. However, Fillery, having failed to disclose his side gigs with Southern Investigations, compromised the case from the outset. Fillery, acting in his role as police officer, was tasked with taking a statement from Reed. Shockingly, he omitted crucial details about the trio's shared drinking session the night before Daniel's murder. He also failed to share the conflict which was going on between Reese and Morgan. What was the conflict about, you might ask? Well, the conflict arose from a robbery of 18,000 and a cash job undertaken by Reese, thus muddying the waters, a detail that should have been uncovered by any competent police officer. This tale of deception and betrayal runs deep, and we've only scratched the surface. As tempting as it is to pause here, we must press on for a clearer understanding of the intricacies involved. So the backstory to the robbery of £18,000 from Reese that Reese had claimed had taken place was that Reese had taken a private job from an auction house, right? Somehow he was tasked with collecting a cash sum of 18,000 from the auction house's customers. Reese claims that after the event where he had collected the money, he had taken the money to a local bank but discovered that the night safe had been glued shut and thus he couldn't deposit the money. He then decided to take the money home. But as he was about to enter his home, the money was stolen from him by robbers. The auction house that had given him the job believed that the robbery claim was a sham and demanded a return of its money. Reese agreed to repay the cash and wanted to take it out of Southern Investigations Company account, but Daniel Morgan refused, asserting that he had not agreed to participate in the job and the debt had arisen from Reese alone. So now, Reese, desperate to take control of the company and access the account, allegedly tried multiple times to have Morgan arrested for drink driving, hoping to force him out of working at the agency, but to no avail. Bruh, imagine that. Daniel Morgan started this company on his own. When it was well established and he thought he had more jobs that he could handle, he looked around to see who he could help and who would be of benefit to him as well. And then he brought in Reese into the company. Now, Reese then now tries to push him out of his own company. What do you call that, please? Is that not voodoo? At the inquest into Daniel Morgan's murder, an employee of Southern Investigations, Kevin Lennon, revealed that Jonathan Reese had expressed frustration over failed attempts to oust Morgan from his company. Allegedly, Reese had contemplated extreme measures, claiming he had arranged for his police friends at Catford Police Station to delete Morgan. The plan was that if they couldn't do it themselves, they would arrange for someone with a pending criminal charge to carry out the deed. In the aftermath of Daniel Morgan's murder, a murder inquiry was launched. And shockingly, one of the detectives assigned to the squad investigating the murder was none other than Reese's new business partner, Sid Fillery, although he didn't become Reese's business partner until the death of Daniel Morgan. That is just so morbid. Since then, there have been four further police investigations into the murder, costing the taxpayer nearly £30 million over a span of nearly 3 decades. Indeed, in 2013, then Home Secretary Theresa May announced the formation of the Daniel Morgan Independent Panel to review police handling of the murder investigation. The abuse of power and corruption during that period was so rampant that Theresa May wrote a book about it, aptly named Abuse of Power. It's so funny to me to discover this amount of corruption in the press and government when David Cameron had the audacity to say Nigeria was fantastically corrupt in an interview. Anyway, moving on. The Metropolitan Police, in the midst of Operation Nigeria, stumbled upon evidence showing that News of the World journalists Alex Marunchak and Mazhar Mahmood were heavy users of Southern investigations. They allegedly used the agency to unlawfully gather information for scoops for their newspaper. Reese ended up serving a 7 year prison sentence. Astonishingly, upon his release, he was immediately re employed by none other than da, 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 News of the World with Andy Coulson, former editor of News of the World, rehiring him as though nothing had happened, placing him on a salary of £150,000. Guys, these are the people Harry is dealing with. Reviewing this information brings to mind Prince Harry's security battle. Dealing with individuals of such questionable character, which his father, the king, must have been aware of, should have prompted him to provide his son with the security, even if the government were the ones who took his security away. But he didn't. I am sure that we all took Harry's security seriously, knowing that he was someone who would be a target internally and externally. But knowing what we all now know as a result of this case tells me that his security needs went beyond the obvious. If there was a higher than high threshold of threat, that is exactly what Harry and Meghan were under. Guys, Harry and Meghan have been under extreme threat. This adds a new layer of admiration for Harry and Meghan to keep going and living their lives in the face of an almost insurmountable obstacle of worldly corruption. This also explains Harry's hypervigilance when he is out with Meghan. Why do I say almost insurmountable? Well, it's the involvement of corrupt government organizations, particularly how Andy Coulson, formerly with News of the World, later employed Jonathan Reese after serving his jail sentence, right? When the News of the World went out of business, the Conservative government under David Cameron employed Andy Coulson. This caused its own stinky scandal at the time. And let's not forget that the same David Cameron was the one who decided that the Levinson inquiry, part two, was not necessary. Now that we have discussed the backstory of Daniel Morgan's murder, let's bring the discussion back to Derek Haslam's evidence, which he gave in his witness statement in Prince Harry's court case. You guys remember Derek Haslam, right? The undercover cop that I introduced you to at the beginning of the video. Bringing the discussion back to Derek Haslam's evidence in the Daily Mirror trial, recall that Haslam tells us that he had gone undercover to investigate the murder of Daniel Morgan. His target was Southern Investigations, the detective agency owned by Daniel Morgan. Jonathan Reese, Daniel Morgan's former partner, and Sid Fillery, the man who replaced the murdered Daniel Morgan, were at the center of the investigation. Derek Haslam, a key witness in the Daily Mirror trial, dropped bombshell revelations about Jonathan Reese's tactics. Haslam detailed Reese's audacious methods, boasting about his expertise in phone tapping, computer hacking, and supplying unlawfully obtained information to MGM. According to Haslam, Reese frequently mingled with journalists and corrupt police officers in pubs. Reese shamelessly flaunted his affiliations with the Daily Mirror and the Sunday Mirror, and Reese introduced him to high ranking individuals, including Gary Jones of the Mirror, who is now the Daily Express editor, and Doug Kempster, the Sunday Mirror. Revelations take a darker turn as Haslam disclosed Reese's bold boasts. Reese proudly claimed to have supplied the Daily Mirror with unlawfully obtained information about Prince Michael of Kent's bank account. Shockingly, he went even further, boasting about his ability to access information about the Queen's bank account. Now, here's where it gets truly alarming. The evidence presented by Haslam was not just a historical account, but a crucial part of Prince Harry's recent legal battle. This evidence, long suppressed, finally saw the light in Prince Harry's case, and the judgment in his favor serves as a vindication of this crucial testimony. The implications of this revelation reach far beyond Prince Harry's case. It opens up a Pandora's box of police and press corruption, entwining the tragic murders of Stephen Lawrence and Daniel Morgan. No wonder Doreen Lawrence is part of this case. The suppressed truth is now emerging, exposing the deep seated corruption that has lingered for far too long. As we wrap up this installment, the threats of corruption are becoming more visible. The connection between Reese's actions and the broader issue of police corruption is undeniable. Prince Harry's victory in court not only serves justice for him, but brings to light a larger battle against corruption that society is not going to be able to ignore. Stay tuned for future episodes. If you find these revelations eye opening, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more. I'm Isabella Banks, signing off for now. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and goodbye. Bye.